Welcome to Module 12, the final module of this series. And this one is called The Genius Art of Sourcing. So, what does it mean to be a source and to source something? Well, some people think of source as like universe, God, creator, the thing like that. That's with a capital S on it. And some people think of source as the person, the one who's taking something on, who's standing for it, who's responsible for it, who's going to turn it out. So I'm a little bit talking about a kind of merging of perhaps those two sources. And I'll use it with a small s as I'm doing that, I think, primarily. So inside the normal human condition, there is a sense of a lack of control, so that things happen to us and there is chaos, and it's hard to figure out why something is happening or what's going on, and then there's being troubled by what's going on in the world. However, as a source, all that occurs very differently. So as a source, you have an orientation to an alchemical capacity to turn things out without even knowing how you're going to do it or what the outcome is going to be. So there are multiple components attached to the genius art of sourcing. So first of all, when you're sourcing, you have to get yourself in complete alignment and flow. So again, the things we've done in practically every model: take a deep breath, open up the core, let the energies flow through you, and raise your vibration. Think of something you love, or stand on a beach or a mountain or whatever. Those are exercises that can help you to open up the flow and get into a higher vibration. The sourcing begins when you tip over the vibrational horizon into a reality in which you have the capacity to be an alchemical creator or co-creator of life. And what happens when you tip over that reality and you are in alignment and flow and you are standing as a source or the source for something, then what happens is it is intention to some degree, but I think intention feels very much on the human level of, I want this, so I will intend this. That's not really what sourcing is. Sourcing is more like, I will have this turn out amazingly for all in some unexpected, unprecedented, even innovative way that I don't even know yet. I think that in the moment of that, so beyond intention, there is a sense of surrendering to the greater forces at play. And when you tip over the vibrational horizon and you surrender yourself, you surrender your judgment, your opinions, what you think you want it to be, and you allow yourself to go into the flow of the greater forces at play, and you allow the core to activate and actualize that reality, that outcome, which you are sourcing. Again, not necessarily an outcome where you have it all figured out, but an outcome that is an optimal outcome for all life. I think that's an important piece here, because it's not what I want, it's what wants to happen. It's what wants to become now. As visionary creators, as sources, we are standing for that which wants to become now, and we become alchemical activators and actualizers of a reality, of new possibilities, of co-creation that turns things out in amazing ways. So when you're standing, so I've talked about the surrender, I've talked about going beyond intention and surrendering what you think outcomes are and judgment and all of that. But I also think to be a source requires an energetic component that is more than just allowing the forces to flow through you. So, you know, in certain of the healing modalities, they would say, oh, I'm just a conduit through which the energy flows. As a source, no, that's not all that you are. You become the source to turn it out. You become the universe, you become the greater forces, you become the force, you become the, whatever, the oceans, the forests, nature, the earth, whatever, the stars, whatever. It might be different every time. For me, it's always the universe because that's my deal, that's my partnership. I am in partnership with and as the universe to turn life out unprecedentedly for all life to thrive, for the earth to be extraordinary, for our future to be just brilliantly, geniusly, unimaginably awesome for every single being upon this planet. And that includes all the life forms and all of nature and all of the human race and all of us to thrive extraordinarily. Now, as a normal human being, how on earth does one take on a commitment like that? To have the whole of reality emerge into something unprecedentedly new. Well, as a human being, I would just be like, whoa, that's why, are you kidding me? What? But as a source being, as a source partnered with the universe, partnered with the force, partnered with the greatness of life that wants to happen now, I have capacity to do things beyond that which I could have imagined before. And so you surrender to become a source, or even the source. You surrender yourself to become an alchemical activator and actualizer of outcomes that you can't even imagine yet. So how does one do that? Well, we've been playing with it all along through all the modules, so it shouldn't come as any real surprise here, I suppose. But there are certain facets to this that I would love to give a bit of clarity to. So more than just you can't have any judgment or assessment or opinions or even review of how you want it to turn out. It's a bit more than that. You have to be able to stand in such a clear and brilliant and you could say intentional, but I almost want to say source intentional space, that you are a catalyst for greatness. And as a catalyst for greatness to show up, it just shows up around you. It shows up into reality. And so one of the things for me that I have had to do in order to take the whole world to this place, I mean, I've done many facets of that. I've just completed my book, How We Changed the World, Step-by-Step Guide to Global Transcendence, which will be available shortly on Amazon. And in it, I talked about all the various steps we've taken and the things we've done to do some of this. So I'll put a link to it once it's available on Amazon here. Now, but I had to learn to go beyond despair, beyond confusion, beyond judgment, beyond assessment, beyond a vibrational frequency that held me in its grasp, to say, I believe, this is for me personally, you'll find your own belief around this. I believe that everything happens for a purpose, everything. And the moment we can recognize that purpose, then we can start to turn it more gracefully towards it. I believe that tragedy and trauma happens because it's nudging us, pushing us in the direction of transformation, transcendence, the next becoming of us, to become greater, to find our access to our own greater visions and possibilities and our role in this emergence of a brand new reality in the earth. And as a result, if we get locked into the tragedy and trauma or into the judgment or assessment of it, then we're not useful as sources to get things to turn out. So you have to emerge beyond all that. And that can be, like for me, it's easy now. I can do it like that. But I get for a lot of people that might take a bit of effort. So the first thing you need to do if you want to emerge into that space of clarity, of knowing, of recognizing where the greatness is, where the potential and possibilities are showing up, and then access the mastery to be able to move them. In order to do that, you might want to look at what is grasping you or gripping you in the view that you have of something. So I'll use, for example, a lot of people would say the educational system in the world, especially in Western side of the world, just isn't working very well anymore. There are some examples of brand new types of schooling and education and homeschooling that's coming up that's much better. But I think most people would agree that it's kind of not working. So if you were passionate, a visionary for new learning in the world, then you might be very much knocked about by the frustration of what happens today in the learning process for children at all ages and even adult learning. And so if you stand in that place, if there's a kind of grr underneath it all, or a kind of judgment or angst or concern that it's wrong, if that's where you're coming from, you will not access sourcing, because all of those viewpoints and feelings and vibrational realities will limit your ability to access the state of being in which sourcing occurs. So how do you move beyond that? Well, you've got to identify the beliefs that are framing it for you. So, I'll use the education example. If I was a visionary for new learning, which I have been many times in the past and still am in a way, but I come at it very lightly now. I come at it celebratory now, as opposed to this is wrong, that's wrong, this isn't working, they're making a mess of these poor children. That's judgment and whatever. So what I have to do is come to a place that understands that there is a new intelligence available to us, that especially all the children born since, I think, the 1990s have access to this new intelligence, that there is a new kind of streaming genius available to us that the world doesn't know about yet. You can see as I do that, it starts to release me from the grip of the angst and despair of how things are. And I can develop a place that even sees the children as the thriving creators of the new environment, of the universe, of supplying with one new kind of intelligence, of et cetera, et cetera. What I can't do is make anyone or any system wrong, even though no doubt it's not a good one. Okay, but I have to come to that free flowing place where I can source the new into existence. And you cannot source the new into existence if you're anchored in what's wrong, if you're anchored in what's wrong and what's not working, then it holds back the mastery of the art of sourcing. You have to release that. It's not being naive. It's not being blind to the fact of that that's kind of how it is and that there are challenges with it. It's that you are for something so extraordinary and new and brilliant and thriving for all life. And all the forces want to line up with you. All the teachers, all the children, all the parents, they all want that. They all want the best for the learning to occur in the most brilliant, creative, genius ways. And when you stand there, then the capacity to source unleashes in you. And it bursts through you, and you are fabricating a new reality in which that, in this instance, new learning shows up. You can source it in the children, you can source it in the teachers, you can source it in the parents, you can source it through the earth, through nature. You can source it through the universe, through the force, through the greatness in us. There's so many ways it can be done. And then as you do that, then you consider action, because you have activated alchemically activated the new reality into existence and included all the forces and people and, whatever that are going to help to make that so with as much grace and ease and joy as possible. And that is a critical piece in the art of sourcing, to surrender what you think you want, to let go completely of how it is and how it has been, to let go of judgment and assessment, to let go of the outcome that you think you're expecting, and to find a place of complete and open flow, joy, and to tip over that vibrational horizon where you can source. And for me, it always comes from the deep core of me. You can source the actualization of that which you are standing for. And when you source that, then it ripples through reality, through the quantum field, through consciousness, through the earth, through nature, through the children, through all of life. And it awakens something in us. And then, and only then, do you begin to take actionable steps towards it. So then you ask the questions. Okay, I see this is the new reality. I am a source for that, or I am the source for that, whatever case you want to hold in it. And then you ask the genius flow, and what innovative steps can I take that would help to make that real in the world? Now, in my case back then, when I was doing some of that stuff with education, I spoke at 2 or 3 educational conferences about this new intelligence and the genius. I did the research on genius. I wrote the book. I taught people about it. I've opened up the concept of that. And those were some of the things that I took on. And then it felt like a kind of completion for me, even though I still get my hand in a bit, because I of course stand for it. But it's all now part and parcel of this, the whole world turning out in brilliance and genius and joy and grace and the newness and greatness of us showing up in every single one. And I am a source for that. If not, I am the source for that turning out. I often say, I got this. I got the world turning out. I got it. And that's a joyful thing to me. It's not a burdensome thing, but it's not me as a person or me as an ego or me as I want this. It's me as universe, me as the force of life, me as the earth and all its inhabitants. It's me as life standing for the emergence of the new and sourcing it into place through alchemical activation and actualization through actionable genius innovative steps. Okay, whew, that was a lot. I hope you enjoyed that. I want you to play with it, see what happens with it, and I'll be doing another video on this in a bit.